Heading into the Fanatics studio this morning. Just finished an entire week of filming with my good friend and very accomplished competitor, Giancarlo Bodoni. Giancarlo, as I said, was here for an entire week filming reverse De La Riva and De La Riva instructional, as always. Learned a ton. And Giancarlo had a seminar while he was here, and one of the seminars was on back attacks. And I wanted to share with you all one concept that he shared in the back attacks seminar that I think you'll find very helpful. And so oftentimes when, people go to attack or retain or take somebody's back, one of the most frustrating parts of it is when, say, for example, somebody's turtled up and they're incredibly difficult to move and to create exposure between the knees and the elbows, create exposure of their feet so that you can start getting hooks to inside position. And one very insightful thing that Giancarlo said at the seminar, one concept he really tried to drive home that I found to be very helpful and insightful, and in turn wanted to share with you all, is that he said the single best way. There are many ways to open your opponent up. In, say, for example, let's just use, for example, turtle situation. This can apply in other situations where you're trying to gain control of the back or attack your opponent's back. But there are many ways that you can go about trying to gain control of the back. But the single best way, arguably, to open your opponent up is to constantly threaten and attack the neck and to get them worried about that submission threat, right? And it's one of those simple concepts or principles that often goes overlooked. But when you take a moment to recognize on how many different positions in jiu-jitsu this applies to, very specifically the back right now, if you're constantly having your opponent worried about the fact that in a moment's notice you can end the match, this encourages them to move. It encourages them to open up. So, for example, in the seminar we were in Turtle, Giancarlo was saying some people will sit on their heels very heavy, and they'll shell up and they'll clam up. And they'll make it very difficult for you to, for example, get a Kosoto hook in, where they call it in wrestling the Western hook, to be able to start to break them down and start attacking with hooks. And he was simply showing us, listen, they start shelling up like this, start threatening a strangle. Get them worried. Get them worried about the fact that if they don't move, if their hands don't move, their elbows don't move, you're gonna strangle them. You're gonna start to get strong threats going, and in turn, people in response to that threat will move. It's just natural human reaction. When you get a human worried, I mean, unless the person, of course, freezes in the moment, but obviously in a jiu-jitsu context, assuming your partner is trained, they'll move. That's what happens. In boxing, you throw a feint, person gets worried that they're going to get hit with a punch, guess what they do? They move. In wrestling, you're having trouble getting the guy out of his optimal stance, you feint a shot, and they're worried that you're going to hit that shot, guess what they do? They move. So, again, the main principle or concept that you guys perhaps may want to work on in training later today is see what threats you can elicit on your opponent to get them to move. And then once they do move, see how you can capitalize off that movement. Food for thought. If you guys have any other specific examples, leave it in the comments below. Let me know what you think. And we'll talk about it a little bit more.